seja bem-vindo ao Conodesp. Quero começar esse vídeo te fazendo uma pergunta. Você já sabe falar uma segunda língua? Se sua resposta for negativa, a minha próxima pergunta é: por que não? Com o mundo cada vez mais interconectado, fica cada vez mais evidente a necessidade de se adaptar a um mercado em movimento, que busca reduzir as barreiras e atender demandas em qualquer lugar do mundo. Devido a isso, hoje é imprescindível que se conheça uma nova língua, principalmente o inglês, a língua mais relevante no mundo dos negócios. Por isso, o nosso Fábio Abreu, engenheiro, professor de idiomas e empreendedor, trará à tona para você os benefícios de se estudar inglês e como esse aprendizado poderá fazer a diferença para você na sua vida pessoal e profissional. Então, fique à vontade onde você estiver, ponha os fones de ouvido e desfrute de mais uma palestra da Conodesp. Obrigado e até breve. Não, peraí! A palestra será ministrada totalmente em inglês, portanto, não esqueça de ativar as legendas.
Hi, I'm Fábio Abreu. Welcome to Conodesp. I have been an English teacher for almost 10 years. I want to talk to you a little bit about how learning a new language can change your life. But first, I want to tell you a story about a guy, let's call him João Paulo. João Paulo was a brilliant college student with a promising future. He graduated in college and immediately applied for a job on big companies. With some work, he was accepted for an internship in a big company where he could build a successful professional career. He was a talented intern, had a good relationship with people, and was considered for a definitive position in the company. Everything seemed perfect to him. However, after a very interesting interview, he was sure that it had been a complete success. But before it ends, the interviewer asked him, "You are great, but I need to ask you one more question. Do you speak a second language? What about English?" Quickly, all his confidence vanished. He didn't know how to speak another language. He had the opportunity to study during the graduation, but never gave much importance to that. And now that's all that misses him. After that, he had to listen that. Unfortunately, English is mandatory for the position, so we can't count on you on that. Now he needed to run, just signed up for English classes and make up for the lost time before it's too late for him. Does this story sound familiar to you? It is more important than we think, and we all know how important it is for our professional background. What about you? Are you prepared for that question? If not, don't worry about that. In this video, we intend to help you. We'll talk about how to learn another language can be a rewarding and funny process. Here we have some ideas of how to improve your language skills. One, it's really necessary for your professional development. 90% of innovations are created and published in English. So, to be a good and innovative professional, it is crucial to speak another language, particularly English. 2. It's an advantage for your professional background. Less than 5% of Brazilians are capable to communicate fluently in English, and it is the second most spoken language here in Brazil. Despite that, English is considered mandatory for almost good job positions. Besides, most of them are multinational companies, and if not, At least have equipment and tools that are totally in English. So, speaking another language, specifically English, isn't special at all. It is mandatory. And now it's very important for almost all job positions. 3. Bigger wages, greater possibilities. Due to this shortage of multi-language speakers, it's very common that the bilingual professionals have been considered to participate on new projects, as well as have more opportunity in getting contact with international suppliers, clients, superiors, or even considered for international career. Your professional development will be a lot easier if you know English. 4. Travel the world. If you have learned a foreign language, mostly English, your trips will be a lot more interesting. With a deep immersion in the culture, and you have a trip a lot smoother. Learning a new language puts you in contact with different cultures and customs that might be completely different than yours. This helps you to see the world in a different way, and many times improves our own vision of the reality. 5. Be a worldwide citizen. When you know new languages, there isn't geographic limitations anymore. So, in a highly connected world, these limitations tend to be increasingly smaller. 6. Stimulate the brain. Research shows that our brain develops more connections when we learn something new. That helps us to improve our intelligence, focus, and assist on the preservation of the health, preventing degradation of the neurons and related diseases. The main subjects that helps us with that are use new technologies, learning how to play any new instrument, or learn a new language. You must have realized how important it is to learn a new language. But among them, probably the most important is English, except on specific situations. We have seen some advantages of speaking a second idiom. All of them could be applied in English, but in this case the necessity tends to be larger. English is the business tongue. It is widely spoken by the majority of the countries as at least the second language. In developed countries, almost everybody has at least an intermediate level in English. The general demands of the work market require that the professional speaks English. The machinery, trainings, and tools of national and international companies almost always comes in English, even to attain international standards. And these are only few reasons to show you how important it is. But I don't like English. Could I learn another one? Absolutely. But you can't just ignore it in English. The best advice I could provide you is learn as many idioms you are able to, but one of them, or even the first one, must be the English. One of the most repeated complaints I've ever heard about this matter is, "I'm so bad in English," or "I've never learned English at school." And nearly all times it comes with a, "Because of that, I'll never learn English." For real, the traditional curriculum of high school and universities have specific objectives, and those have nothing to do with the language acquisition. Learning a new idiom is much more than memorize rules, and the process can be extremely rewarding. First, there's no such a thing as "I can't learn" for nothing. including a new idiom. Learn English or any other language is a gradual process, where step by step we're watching, learning, and memorizing, until some days we can understand some things, comprehend something said to us, and even answer some question in English. So you say, I did it! That's a great moment, common to all idiom students and extremely exciting and motivating. One, I can understand, I just can't express myself in English. That's an usual mistake of many people that have any contact with the language. It is not like they don't know anything, but if you can't properly answer a simple question, you just can't speak. To prove this, you can watch a complete movie totally in English and with no subtitles. If you don't understand at least 75% of the spoken sentences, I'm sorry to say, buddy, but you probably have a lower level of English that you think you have. But don't give up. You're in the right path. But you need to assume that it's necessary more study and dedication. And practice, of course, by you, and you can evolve and be succeed. Second mistake, fluence in a short time. Fluence is a subjective matter. There are people that learn with impressive easiness, while others present a little bit more difficulty. The learning speed is directly related to the effort applied to this goal. So, it is possible that you learn fast, but the time is always proportional to the dedication of the student in learning this new language. Just be careful with the miraculous promises like learn English in X months. It's not that it's impossible, however, as we've seen, it depends on the endeavor, so this deadline may be accomplished or not. The third myth, it's impossible to learn a new language after grown up. The bigger difference between adults and children on the learning process is the time available to that. Usually, kids have less responsibilities and, therefore, more free time to learn something new. There are, in fact, some differences, but children have just a short advantage in comparison to adults, and it vanishes as they grow up. What happens in the reality is the adults develop different forms and efficient strategies to learn faster. In short, devote yourself to an activity and you can do everything, including learn a new language. The fourth myth is you can't learn two languages at the same time. That's one of the most common myths that you can see around. There's absolutely no problem in studying two languages at the same time, or any restriction to that, as long as you have time to dedicate to both of them. Even one might help the other, because our brain tends to make a relation between different matters, making through one situation you can understand the other in an easier way. And more, polyglots consent in one thing. Knowing a language makes it a lot easier to learn a new one. The myth number 5 is immersion in a foreign language by an exchange program rushes the learning process. Yes, that's true. The evolution is huge when you use the language, the new language, in your everyday life. You learn a lot faster in this way. In fact, works like that. As much as you practice, more you learn. But beware! If you go abroad without no knowledge about its idiom, or in a very low level of it, it is quite probable that you find more adversities than advantages. You can have difficulties even in the simple situations, or just have greater problems due to an insufficient vocabulary. Therefore, be sure that you have at least an intermediate level before you apply for an exchange program. And more, also avoid destinies full of Brazilians. There are cities where the Brazilian community is so crowded. It could be very warm, but sometimes you use more Portuguese than English. That's not what you want, right? 6. You are fluent only when you speak perfectly and without accent. That's a very common myth, and usually related to the fact that you can't set precisely what is fluency. This concept is largely spread among Brazilian students. Fluency is simply the ability to comprehend and communicate efficiently in a language. Note that I didn't use speak perfectly or like a native. Examples of that is when you see non-natives, Israeli, Indians, Asians, French, speaking English. They can communicate efficiently in English, despite carrying some accent, and this accent is most of the time typical of the mother tongue. Can we say that they are not fluent? So, do not get trapped in this so restrictive definition. A good way to measure your influence is realize as well as you can explain your point of view about any subject without problem. If you can do that, it's a great sign that you have a really good level of English. First, have in mind that the only responsible for your success is yourself. So, you need to provide time and effort to study and learn. Many people think that to learn English is necessary hours and hours of dedication. But in all this time as an English teacher, I realized that the habit is much more consistent than the effort. So, if you spend from 15 to 30 minutes every day, that would be more efficient than studying, for example, 5 hours in a single day, and will be more interesting because learning this new language will make you discover a lot of different things like music, like series, like movies, and etc. And they will make your study time a lot more funny. And you don't need a lot of different tools. You can learn efficiently with texts, songs, and even with your favorite movies and series. So the first technique is identify the standards. This strategy might help you to understand how to compose sentences and communicate in an efficient way in English or other language. Consists in recognize the standards of specific way of talking, then doing many repetitions, inserting different words and expressions. By doing many repetitions, you're going to assimilate the logic and consequently reproduce that model. Let's check an example. You have the following sentence. She's going to watch a movie tonight. In this sentence, you find the structure going to. So, you try to vary by keeping this structure but modifying the other terms of the sentence. For example, she's going to watch a movie tomorrow. So you put the word tomorrow. Let's change the subject. Not she, but John. John is going to watch a movie tonight. Or changing the action. She's going to read a book tonight. Or saying no. She isn't going to read a book tonight. Or watch a movie. I believe you already understood the logic, right? But you can play on your own with your examples. The important is you must do this until you understand the structure and have it fixed in your mind. And if you have an English teacher, you can ask for help in this process. And remember, always speak up the sentences loud, not only write down on the paper. Second form is audio texts, reading and listening. Audio texts are powerful instruments of learning. There are many websites and apps that offer it for free, and you also can use your favorite songs and series for that. The main idea here is to use them like this. First step, read the text and understand exactly whatever it says, translating the unknown words and try to comprehend everything that the spoken sentences mean. Okay, you have to understand the text. Then, step 2, listen to the audio text or the song, following the speech with the lyrics or with the text. The objective here is to listen every word that has been pronounced and comprehend its pronunciation. Repeat until you get it. When you understand the sound of the words and their meaning, you must do the step 3. Now abandon the written part and listen to the audios without help. The objective now is to understand the words but with no visual support. Okay? When you could do that, you should find another text, video or song and start it again. Now it's your turn. You already know the importance and have the tools to improve your learning. The only thing that misses now is you. Begin to put that in practice and see your English evolve in a solid and constant way. From us of Conodesp, we're very happy to have you here till now with us. If you want some help to achieve this objective, we're totally available to help you. We have a program that might aid you to learn English and plenty other competencies. Get in touch with us by our social networks or send us an email to this address on the bottom of the screen. See you!